With YouTube attacking alternative media, please consider supporting the channel via Patreon for just $1 per month. Link below. Hey, what's going on, everyone? My name is Matt Jarbo. This is the Mundane Matt channel, and this is a story that's probably going to anger a lot of animal lovers out there. But it's also going to open up a very interesting conversation, I think, in terms of legality involving adopting an animal and then eating it. So it says here, a couple adopts a pet pig from an animal store only to kill and eat her. Now, don't get me wrong. I like pork chops. I like bacon. I like ham. I like eating pig. It's an unclean animal, but that's okay. Nothing about me is kosher. But I understand why people are upset. So it says that because law enforcement said the pig was killed humanely, there's no legal action that can be taken. And that is pretty accurate, but let's go on here. Staff at an animal shelter in Canada are stunned after a local family adopted a pot-bellied pig as a pet, then slaughtered and ate her weeks later. That is pretty sad because pot-bellied pigs are freaking adorable, but they also make good food. So, I mean, you're kind of up in the air on this one. The first reaction, I'd say, was shock, heartbreak. British Columbia Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals employee Leon Davis told the CBC, you know, all animals that come through our care are branches we get attached to, which again is true. It's like once you name an animal, it's kind of hard to like ever do anything to it, you know, like once you name it, it's yours. But so basically this version of PETA, but for Canada, is not too happy about that. And I understand. Now, David had helped bring Molly, the Vietnamese pot-bellied pig, back to health after she and dozens of other pigs ended up in the care of the organization after a cruelty investigation and subsequent rescue operation. In mid-January, a Vancouver Island couple adopted Molly from a local BC SPCA branch. Shelter workers believed they were sending Molly to a great home, but weeks later, a local woman saw reports on social media indicating the couple had slaughtered and eaten Molly, apparently because they found keeping and training a pet pig to be more work than they could handle. Oh, no. That is, like, don't get me wrong. I've rescued 3 feral kittens, and I understand what it's like to have cats you're trying, you know, animals you're trying to train, and it's harder than you think. I've got 5 cats. You know, there's all that, but the fact that they adopted the pig and then they went and they said like, it's just, oh God, she's so freaking much to care for. Let's just eat her is so messed up, but also, and I will catch flack for this, but I'm just pointing it out, pretty smart. Instead of just giving her away, they actually got something back on their investment. These people are capitalists. I feel bad. I do feel bad. The BC SPCA contacted local law enforcement who confirmed that the family had indeed slaughtered and consumed Molly. But not the drug, obviously just a pig. The spokeswoman, Lori Chordick, told People, however, because law enforcement determined the pig was slaughter was done humanely, there's not much action for the BC SPCA can take. Yeah, at that point, Molly did in fact become that couple's property. And at that point, there's no law against slaughtering it humanely and then consuming the flesh of the animal. There's not, right? And so as a result of that, while the SPCA in British Columbia can get super upset at them, there's really not much they can do about it. So it says, the reality is it's not illegal to kill your own animal in Canada, she told People. In the United States, animal cruelty laws vary from state to state, but in many states, it's also legal for people to kill and eat their own pets, including cats and dogs. That one is new to me. Don't worry, though. My cats are perfectly safe. I love those little bastards, even if they get annoying. But also, I have friends. When I moved to San Diego, I lived in East County, San Diego, and I had a lot of friends who were part of the ag department, the agriculture department. They were raising, you know, pigs and goats and horses and cows. Like, you know, when I first moved to San Diego, within the first week, I saw a girl walking a cow. Like, getting its exercise by walking it up the street. And I was like, where the hell did I move to? And lo and behold, 6 months later, they were all dead because they were all raised and fed and kept. And when the time came, when they got to the appropriate weight, they then sold all of those animals off for a profit. And those animals are now all dead and consumed and then became someone's bowel movement. That is just the nature of food. Of agriculture when it comes to cattle and it comes to other animals as well. It's horrible when you think about it. Nobody wants to think about when you go to McDonald's and you get a bacon, egg, and cheese biscuit, which is, by the way, their best breakfast sandwich. So you go get a bacon, egg, and cheese biscuit, where that bacon comes from. No one questions it. They just go, bacon. It's good stuff. All right. And so that's part of it. That's a big part of it. The adopters had signed a contract saying they would not use a pig for food, but Davis told the CBC that breaching the contract was not a criminal offense. However, they will be blacklisted from adopting any other animal from the BC SPCA in the future, which is, yeah, like that I totally get. I totally understand. I do look at that as being on board. I get it. Now, he noted that the shelter would have happily taken Molly back into its care if the couple had returned her rather than eating her, which they would, and that's a good thing too. That's a good thing too. I wish they would have just returned her. It's one of those kind of like weird, odd cases, those odd stories where it's kind of shocking because you look at it and you just go like, yeah, that's funny, kind of. But Brandy McKee, who initially alerted the BCSPCA about what happened, told HuffPo Canada that a friend had even offered to pick Molly up from the couple's home and bring her somewhere safe. Well, just because they offer doesn't mean they're going to take him up on it. They could have looked at Molly and been like, you know, we've heard so much about Molly, right? By watching, like, let's say Miley Cyrus videos, and they're like, oh, we've heard so much about Molly. Let's see how she tastes. Not quite the same thing. But then again, those Canadians, especially those on Vancouver Island, are a little bit odd. And I have some friends who live in Vancouver Island, as well as family from Vancouver Island. It's a beautiful place. It's beautiful, but it's still a little bit weird. Though potbelly pigs are intelligent and can make wonderful companions, caring for them is a big commitment. The Pig Placement Network notes that pigs can live between 12 and 15 years and typically weigh between 80 and 160 pounds. They also need plenty of space, including outdoor space and pig-proofed home and specialized vet care. Yeah, I mean, these kind of, you look at it and you're like, oh, it's a little potbelly pig, oh, it's so cute. And then they balloon the hell up and you're like, where the hell did potbelly go? Your whole body's a belly. What's going on? And then it's like, it costs money, right? Animals cost money. They do. I mean, sometimes I don't think people realize that, you know, especially like in like there was a craze for a while, kind of an off story here, but there was a craze when Paris Hilton came on the scene and she got like super hot and she had Tinkerbell, and all of a sudden like miniature dogs and toy dogs were everywhere. They were everywhere. Everyone was buying them because that was a new hot craze. And after a couple of years, people just started getting rid of them. Right? I would hear reports. I actually saw this yesterday on Twitter where a porn star had found a little toy dog that had a note saying like her master can't take care of her anymore, and then just let her out. Just took her somewhere, attached a note to her freaking collar and let her out. And thankfully this woman found her and is going to take her to a vet, find her home. And my girlfriend did the exact same thing when we were living in Los Angeles with a small little dog. Didn't have a note, but had clearly, you know, been let go up in an area where, like, you know, you're not going to find a lot of people. And that is just, it's so sad that happens. It's so sad that animals are treated like that. And ultimately people can sit there and say, but Matt, you're kind of like laughing at the fact that these people did this here and they could have just given the pig away. And maybe you're right. Maybe you're right. I'm not going to lie. But at the same time, it wasn't like the pig was just kind of like let out in the woods somewhere to die of starving and alone. They humanely killed it. And then they also feasted on its carcass. So it's kind of a weird, different situation, even though in Canada, it's not illegal to kill and eat your dogs. Oh, it's a horrible story because I used a horrible analogy, I will admit. While potbelly pigs are sometimes referred to as mini pigs, since they are smaller than domestic farm pigs, don't fall for scams advertising tiny teacup pigs that appear to only be a few pounds. The so-called teacup pigs are only so small because they are piglets. They eventually grow into full-size potbelly pigs unless they are intentionally starved to keep them smaller, which is horrible. That is horrible. In some cases, even young farm hogs are passed off as teacup pigs or potbelly pigs, like Esther the Wonder Pig, whose owners adopted a mini pig only to wind up with a pig weighing 500 pounds. And so, look, this is Molly right here. Molly is cute. Molly is now also long gone and made for some good food. And I understand why the SPCA is upset. I understand why they're upset. They kind of feel like, you know, they had him sign an agreement. You won't make him for food, but is it one that's going to be legally upheld, right? My question though is whether or not the SPCA is going to file a civil suit against this couple for violating a written agreement. While the cop said it's not illegal for them to do that, that's on a legal sense. They could go to a civil court and get them on civil court. And that could be an entirely different argument altogether. So, I mean, if this was the United States, they clearly would be hitting civil court. Like the PETA would be all over that sort of thing. But this also goes to show you that you know, like, you got to be careful when you adopt pigs. You got to go and be careful when you adopt animals. You have to make sure that even though you want it, it's cute, it looks at you with those big eyes, and you're like, oh my God, it's so adorable. I just want to take it home and love it forever. Some things out there you're not going to be able to do, right? You're not going to be able to do that all the time. And sometimes people's hearts are too big for their homes when it comes to these sort of issues, and that could have been one of the factors that led to this situation. Now, the key thing here is let's talk about like how the family took care of this. The family who did this, the couple that adopted Molly, posted about it on Facebook, right? Like, is that one that you're just like, oh, this is kind of a funny haha moment, like you know, life comes at you fast when you do this because we can't afford to take care of it, so we just decided to make you dinner. But like I said, I've had friends who've done this with their agriculture pets. They grew very attached to them, and they felt really bad when someone had to come over and put a 30-06 round in their head. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's a weird story. I leave it to you to come to your own conclusion. People have called me a fence sitter in the past. I'm on two worlds on this one because I feel bad for the pig, but at the same time, I probably would have done the exact same thing. Who doesn't like bacon? But leave your comments below. They should be interesting. If you guys haven't already, thumbs up the video, subscribe to the channel. If you want to support it, the best way to do that is links below in the video description. Patreon, PayPal, Bitcoin now. And if you guys want to just watch more content from me, God willing, after this, you can do so right now.